some of the greatest men on earth, I think, I fought with, some of the bravest men. Never got medals, I never was considered heroes, but I always thought they were. I was raised on a farm. There were 7 of us children, 4 boys and 3 girls, and I was the 3rd child, oldest boy. I was into everything that was baseball, basketball, football, track, anything that was going on, I was involved in it. I don't even remember the first time I ever went fishing or the first time I ever went hunting. I've done that all my life, and I've always enjoyed the outdoors. When the war started, I was working in Dallas, making 30 cents an hour. I joined the Marine Corps because I knew that they were the best, and I've always had an attitude to be the very best that I could be at whatever I was doing.
V Burgin, tough guy from Texas, and he was an outstanding mortarman and leader. And K Company was very lucky to have men like Burgin.
You become family. You do care a lot about your men. And one thing that I always tried to do is to put my men in position the best that I could. I didn't want to be getting any of my men killed or wounded. I don't think that I had a man in my outfit that wouldn't fight for me until this day. I was trained for the 60 millimeter mortars. I learned to be an observer on the front lines and call back data to the guns for the shells to land. And I did that on Peleliu, and I also did that on Okinawa. We landed on Peleliu on September 15, 1944. We hit the beach with 235 men in the K Company. But when we were relieved, there was 85 of us still standing. We lost a lot of men. It was very distressful, very demoralizing, and you get to the point that you don't particularly give a damn where you live or die. The one thing about the battle, it's kind of like a football game or any other sport. When you first start the game, you're tense and high energy, and after you've been there a couple of 3 days and in the battle, you calm down, and it's just your job and not just what you do. A bunch of ordinary men doing some extraordinary things. And Okinawa was my 3rd one to go through, and it beginning to wear on me. The mental part of it was tough. We started up the ridge, and a machine gunner would open up and pin us down. It wounded 2 or 3, and I thought, well, if I can get around that ridge that was sticking up there, I'll spot him by the muzzle velocity whenever he fires. And sure enough, he opened up, and whenever he did, I saw fire coming out of the machine gun, so I knew exactly where he was at. He was after me. He put 2 bullet holes in my dungaree between my knee and my ankle, and 1 bullet hole in my right dungaree. I went back around the little knoll, called in on the mortars, and fired 1 round, and then made my adjustment from that. And the 2nd round, got a direct hit on that. They awarded me the Bronze Star for knocking that machine gun out. I don't think that a man could come through what I went through and not have the Lord looking after him. So that's the only explanation that I can give that why I came through it with only a wound and not to get killed in action. It's because God was looking after him. That's what I asked him to do. And he did. After my discharge, I tried my damnedest to forget everything that ever went on. And I did a pretty good job of that, too. I didn't talk about the war to my family. I never talked about the war to my co-workers. I never talked about the war, period. For 35 straight years. Never missed it. I started going to the reunions in 1980, and that loosened up a lot of closed gates. Well, the most important thing in my life was meeting Florence. I met her in Australia in 1943. I guess I immediately fell in love with her because we corresponded from day one, dated for about 4 months. Wasn't long then till I had to sail out.
He came in and he had his dungarees on and his boots. And I said, "What is going on?" He said, "We're shipping out." Now, I'll admit I cried the night that he left, but he also told me, he said, "I will come back and get you." And so
I didn't. I just sent for her. I think I would have married her in Australia, but I couldn't see going to war and not coming home and leaving her in Australia by herself. I just figured it was better to wait until after the war and then get married, and all the risk would be over as far as me getting killed or anything.
he's always been a good father and a good provider.
Whenever I first started to work at the post office, I was a letter carrier, and I worked my way up to superintendent. I was good for the post office, and the post office was good to me. I made it a 31-year career and retired the day I was 55 years old and never looked back.
So it was good.
I don't feel like I'm a hero. I feel like that I was just a man, like a man that goes to work every day and comes home and goes back to work the next day. I feel like that I went over there to do a job, and I did the best job that I could do. And it was a heroic. No, I wasn't a hero, still not a hero.